right, so hi there, everyone. We're live again, and I am Raven. All right. So coming in as Raven the reader, and I'll go through just as we normally do. We'll start off with a quiz on Nigerian heritage, and I'll do a little bit, but instead of talking about instructional design, as Ashley will do, I will come through and give a collective reading from the perspective of teachers and or learners. We'll see how much longer my live will be, but I'll still go ahead and do an itinerary just like any other week. So let's go ahead and get started. Nigerian heritage. Free trivia game. Go ahead and share my screen. So which Nigerian city is widely recognized as the hub of Nollywood film production? I'm going to guess Lagos. Yes. Next. Which ethnic group is traditionally associated with the talking drum known as dun dun? I'm going to guess, I was going to guess the Yoruba, but it might be Igbo. It's so hard when you can only read one thing at a time. Oh, man. Yoruba or Igbo. I'm going to go for Igbo. Oh, come on. Okay, next. Jollof rice in Nigeria is typically cooked with which key ingredient to achieve its red color? A tomato pepper base. Duh. Which Nigerian writer authored Things Fall Apart? I really have no idea. But I'm going to guess it was another Achebe. Yeah. You know, sometimes the lineages just do the thing. Suya is best described as which type of food? Suya. I'm not familiar with suya. Spiced grilled skewered meat, fermented cassava porridge, baked yam pie, or smoked fish stew. I don't know. I'm going to have to go for the porridge or the stew. I'm going for stew. Fermented cassava porridge or smoked fish stew. It's probably baked yam pie. I don't know. I'm going to go for the stew. Oh, none of those. There you go. That's what's up. Spiced grilled skewered meat. Cool. Suya. Suya. Spiced grilled skewered meat. The Durbar Festival is most commonly associated with which region? Durbar Festival. Never heard of it. Southeast, southwest Niger Delta, or northern Nigeria? I'm just going to guess the Delta, the fertile lands. Nope, the northern Nigeria. Okay. The Osun Osogbo festival is primarily a celebration dedicated to which deity? Osun, the river goddess, Amadioha, the thunder deity, Ogun, the god of iron, or Sango, the thunder god. I mean, it says Osun Osogbo. So I'm going to guess the river goddess. Yay. There's 20 questions. Which traditional attire is flowing robe worn by men in northern Nigeria? The dashiki. No, I'm sorry. I apologize. The babandri. Okay, what is a dashiki? Is a dashiki what's worn on the crown? I'm sorry. I have no idea. What's the dashiki? It is a man's shirt. Or a woman's shirt. It's not gender specific. It's a shirt. Okay. Traditional attire is flowing robe worn by men. Okay. In a traditional Igbo New Yam festival, what is ceremonially celebrated? The crowning of new chief, first harvest of yams, the start of fishing season, the first palm wine tapping. The first harvest of yams. Okay, and was it the 9th one? Yes, this will be the last one that I do. Afrobeats, the contemporary pop sound, draws from which earlier Nigerian genre pioneered by Fela Kuti? Oh, yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing it's a completely different name than Afrobeats. Juju, High Life, or Fuji? Fela Kuti. Fuji? Fuji, kind of like a spin on the names. Oh, it's just Afrobeat. Okay. All right, cool. So that was a pretty good introduction. And what we'll be reading today is actually a book authored by another Echebe. So let's just go ahead and go to archive.org. Yes. Scrolling on down. Nigeria. Oh, it's the same guy. It's a different person. It's a different name, isn't it? Excuse me. Sorry, let's go back. Hold on. The same person. Things fall apart. He also wrote, he's also the author of Teacher of Light. So again, I'm just going to look at the table of contents and then I'll stop sharing my screen. So there are maps, childhood, and so Ogidi family, that magical place, Ogidi, at the crossroads between worlds, the challenge of empire, primary school days, government college, Umuahia, university life, the makings of a writer, man of the family, a great fearful thing, the Nigerian Civil War, the Biafran tragedy, photographs, Heart of Light, The Novelist as Teacher, The Eagle and the Hunters, Achibe and Controversy, Eagle on Oroko, Birthday Celebration, Tragedy, and Hope. All right. Let's go over to The Makings of a Writer, page 59. And here we are. So let's go on over to another I'll stop sharing. And then we're going to share this one. And I'm going to make a quick little quiz as I read. So, chapter 8, this is chapter 8, so the quiz will just focus on chapter 8. Quiz assessment. Title is Nigeria, October 15th. All right. Ibadan. What's the name of the school? Chinua Achebe attended early in his writing days. So here's I could do like Oxford, Ibadan, or what's another one? I could say like he ended up moving to Boston, so I could say which school is it? Harvard. All right, cool. Answer key. 1 point. Cool. All right, so let's see. Millions and Drake went on to commentary. Was very small. The Murray gave his first international publicity. Wow. What type of writing led to Chinwa's first international publicity? All right, so this one is, what type of writing led to Chinwa's first experience with international publicity? So I'm going to say short story. I'm going to say poetry. And then I'm going to say a news article. Answer key. I'm just going to do a true or false. It doesn't give a. I'll just say true or, oops, true or false. Chinwa's work experience included time a broadcasting station. And now here we are reading about things fall apart. They sold like hot yams instead of hot cakes. Okay, so I'm trying to see how can I turn this into a question. How many zeros, how many place values are there in the number of copies of books Tina sold? I'm just going to do that. How many place values? That is, we said that there were worldwide. Worldwide. Um, Is that 3 or 4 questions? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. All right, one more and it'll be just 7:30. I need to read this book. Lovely. So here's this. This quiz is done. Blank quiz now being renamed to Nigerian Heritage. Great. So now we're just going to make an itinerary inspired by what we just looked at. One more. It's not really Nigerian heritage. It's let me put this in parentheses. I mean, it most certainly is, but it's very specific. So let's say this one, chapter 8. Right. Let's say chapter 8, and then we'll do this Nigerian heritage. Cool. So this is done. Very cool. I like it. Very nice. It's great when something that came up in a question also comes up in the book. It's great. It's happened most days somehow, most Wednesdays. So let's do a quick itinerary and then I'll do a quick collective reading. Even though I wasn't supposed to be doing as much instructional design. I'm not talking about instructional design at all. So BBC Staff School. I'm wondering if there's spoken major languages, Thai publication, like the most significant. At the BBC school, the BBC. All right, let's see if this competition is still a thing. Oh, well, it seems like it's only for students. Marriage is a private affair. I don't know. The best I'm getting is going somewhere and writing a limerick. Right? Limericks are fun. Limericks are funny. They're humorous. Limericks I don't know. I just say go to the town of Ibadan. Ibadan. Where is Ibadan school? Hmm. It's not open anymore? The Nigerian Civil War led some to question whether Nigeria was in fact a unified nation with a national history. At the same time, rival schools of history began to emerge at Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria, Nigeria. The Islamic legitimist school arose that rejected Western models in favor of the scholarly tradition of the Sokoto Caliphate in the Islamic world. From other parts of Africa, the neo-Marxist school began to gain currency. Social, economic, and cultural history also began to grow in prominence, as was the case of the Lagos School of History and its applied history approach. Applied history. Applied history. So go to Ibadan. What's going on in Ibadan? Ibadan tourism, if there's any there. Ibadan tourism. Ibadan is the capital and most populous city of the Oyo State. Ibadan tourism includes attractions like Agodi Gardens and the University of Ibadan Zoo, along with historical sites such as Bowers Tower and Adua Museum and Hall of Fame. Day trips to places like the Ado Awai Mountains are also popular, and visitors can enjoy local food, culture tours, and walking tours. Really? I don't understand. Was Lagos, was that correct? Uh-oh. How long is the journey from Lagos to Ibadan? An hour and 24 minutes. All right, so maybe they're kind of considered the same general area. All right, cool. Well then. Anyway, all right, cool. So that is the itinerary for today. And then I'm going to do my collective reading. Come on, come on. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. I'm going to use different books, and then I'm going to do my same. I'm going to use this notation, but yeah, yeah, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to encourage going to the museum. Bowers Tower. Adua Museum and Hall of Fame, I think. Hold on. Conceptualized by Adua Investment Company Limited to reflect a memory of classical guild of history, technology, people, culture, arts, and crafts as it relates to occupation and ingenuity of the past. The idea of putting up a museum and Hall of Fame has been in the uppermost mind of the board and management of Adua Investment, who believe that most Yoruba have lost touch with their past, especially as it relates to the customs and traditions. Management of the Adua Investment Company Limited therefore put this center in place to showcase some objects of historical and aesthetic values that are evidence of the material culture bequeathed to us by our forebears. It is no doubt an eye-opener to school children, visitors, and other people who are interested in Yoruba cultural values. Yay! So let's do Adua Investment. Oh, no. Hold on. Is it? Hall of Fame. Hold on. Let's see what the other one is. Ooh, yeah, just go to, let's say, Bowers Tower. Let's say Bowers Tower. And then just take a very engaged take a very engaged tour of the tower in preparation for writing a limerick. Read the limerick from page. It's all about him in our hall, who said because he was small, he less because he ate less than everybody else in our hall. Read Achebe's poem from page 61 and write an original in a similar style on the topic of your visit to the tower. Yeah, cool. So that's that. I think that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and erase this. And Chinua Achebe, teacher of light. All right, cool. So now for the reading, okay? So we're working with page 51 of the book. So this is the book that we're using here. All right, let's go ahead and do our reading. So we're going to finish off with a reading for today. It's a collective reading. So remember that I'm taking two main perspectives here. We have the perspective of the teacher and a perspective of the student. So if you have any situation in mind that's going on in your life right now where you feel like you're very much learning a lesson or you feel like you're trying to give a lesson, you can fit yourself into this storyline that comes up, however you think fits with what you're going through. And if you find that it seems to reflect pretty well on what you know someone else is going through, maybe you can still find a way to get guidance from it. So the whole idea here is the same as when people say masculine, feminine, different types of energies. But here the energy is just teacher versus student. Okay. So we're starting with talking about makings of a writer. So essentially, if you know anyone who wants to be a writer, or if you know anyone who is a writer, someone who teaches writing, things like that, there's no specifics regarding the genre or the purpose of it. So whether it's novels, poems, things like that. So this is considered to be the base of the tower of books that we have here, right? And again, I'm just using the ones that I already have. And so the ones that I have, let me go ahead and number this. The books that I have are the Bible, right? God's Game Plan, Bible. It's really good for young athletes. I've had it for a long time. But I like it because it has great footnotes and other little activities in there. It's pretty much a good Bible that has built-in instructional design. So this one, Now Discover Your Strengths, is really good. The Clifton strengths are really respected in a lot of different fields. Of course, you have your encyclopedia, which is just crucial for anyone who likes to teach and or learn. And then also starting a business. So what's been really hard for me is not including myself in my readings. I'm still getting better at that. So apparently this is for those who want to earn money from their writing and help others do the same. So, all right, readings of a writer. All right, so we have wage and hour laws, family and medical leave law. Okay, so what I'm getting from this is you need to kind of set your bounds or your expectations as far as your wage, right? How much time you want to spend. And then also your health when it comes to interacting with family, and then just your personal physical and mental health when it comes to managing your writing practice. And that's really what's going to make you into the type of writer that you are. So if you're someone who's a writer and you know that you want to be a journalist, you're probably someone who is going to have to do the daily practice, but you're probably also going to have to include some type of input of knowledge as in current events regularly if you want to be a journalist, right? So you need to consider, well, what are the hours? What are the times? When are you going to make sure that you're always setting yourself up to consider current events? And what type of companies would you want to work with if you're trying to be a journalist or something like that? And would you want for your family to provide this information? Would you want for them to say, hey, I read this, hey, I did that? Or do you want to say, hey, I'll do that when I'm around anyone else? I really want to break from it. So there's that. If you're in the process of becoming a writer or teaching someone how to become a writer, you should probably lay the foundation, because these filters are really going to determine other tips and tricks and tools and things like that that support these foundational hopes and expectations. So I usually confirm before I move on. I mean, that felt pretty good, but I can make sure, am I good to move on? Yeah, it's a high card. All right, so now the atmosphere. Ooh, so if you're a writer, make sure you find the right atmosphere for your writing, but also be realistic. So if you're interested in being, like I said, a journalist, I'll come up with another example too. But if you're interested in being a journalist, it might be important for you to get used to being places that are kind of uncomfortable for you. So if you sit and you practice and you're always in like comfortable cafes, but you're someone who really wants to be sharing details about conflicts or other challenging topics, you might want to find spaces that you don't find comfortable to really set yourself up for building a type of endurance when it comes time to dealing with those real world situations. But other than that, make sure that you find a nice atmosphere. Let's see what it says here. Weather disturbances, you need to be able to weather disturbances, right, to get through disturbances. You need to be able to push through different types of human impacts, right? You need to think about what is the origin of the atmosphere. Are you someone who can control that atmosphere, or is it out of your control? And again, you might actively look for places where the atmosphere is out of your control, right? Or you might actively and purposefully look for places where the atmosphere is in your control, right? So if you're someone who writes novels, and it's like, yeah, I need somewhere to be quiet, then what truly determines that atmosphere? You have to be honest with yourself and figure out if you have any control over that atmosphere at all. And sometimes if you're able to acknowledge the realities behind that, it'll be easier to cope with whether you have control or not. So if you have young children and you say, hey, I need to be in a quiet space, it might just be a matter of beyond the quiet or beyond the children who are making noise, do I have control over this space? And that might help you with your sanity. And you might find a way to say, how can I use the random chatter or the random, interruptions as a tool, right? Maybe it's like you get interrupted, you go to the top of the page and you proofread. Or maybe every time you get interrupted, you make sure that you add something that you usually lack, which is like, I don't know, a compound complex sentence. I have no idea. Okay, but you have to be able to use these things and make that thing that's out of your control into something that is a benefit that you have some control over, right? It's not about telling the kids to be quiet. I mean, of course, express yourself. But if they're still making noise, just say, oh, that's my cue to try to mix up some of my vocabulary. What's the word that I just put? Let's look in the thesaurus and find another word that means the same thing to use. Okay, so anyway, atmosphere. Yeah. So the release of carbon dioxide by the burning of fossil fuels has been projected as another serious hazard. So we breathe in, we breathe out, or we breathe in oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide, don't we? So don't get too pent up and upset about things that you don't have control over to where you use your voice to try to change them. Just use them as cues that set you up to do something you do have control over, right? So it's hazardous to overuse your voice to create control. Express yourself, be like, hey kids, by the way, I'm going to be in the room. But other than that, it's not helpful. It's hazardous. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're almost done. We have a couple more books. We're pretty close to finishing the reading. The Makings of a Writer. And the traces of talent. How can you identify your own talents? So once you have all of these things and you've accepted your environment, you've accepted kind of what your hopes and dreams are, then that's when you should start being able to find your talents, right? So first, if you want to reveal your talents, monitor your spontaneous, top-of-mind reactions to the situations you encounter. And we just talked about that, right? So, yeah. It's about monitoring your experiences with those types of distraction types of things. I don't know if I should read this or not. Should I read this? Okay, yeah. So Kathy P., a senior manager for a computer software company, gave us a dramatic example. She was bound for her company's annual sales meeting at the Dominican Republic. Squeezing into her tiny seat, she glanced around her to see who was sharing the puddle jumper. Spread out in the back row was Brad, the aggressive, opinionated, and impatient CEO. In front of him was Amy, a genius at the details of software design, the best in the company. Across from her was Martin, a gregarious, charming Brit, who through his network of contacts had single-handedly turned around their flagging European operations. And then there was Jerry, the inspired head of marketing, who was, as usual, the insipid head of marketing, who, as usual, had angled his way into the seat next to Brad. The problems began right after takeoff, Kathy recalled. We had just cleared the clouds when the alarm went off. I didn't even know planes had alarms, but suddenly it started braying like a donkey. Ee-haw, ee-haw, filling the cabin with this terrible sound. The main lights went out, and the emergency lights started flashing red. As I felt the plane drop what seemed like 1,000 feet in a second or two, I looked through the open cabin door and saw both pilots, necks flushed and stiff, turn to each other. I sensed immediately that neither of them had any idea what was going on. There was a moment of silence in the cabin. Shock, I imagine, and then suddenly everyone started talking at once. Amy craned over and said, Kathy, can you see the dials? Can you see the dials? Martin pulled out a tiny bottle of Smirnoff from his bag and jokingly cried out, at least give me one last drink. Jerry started rocking back and forth, moaning. We are all going to die. We are all going to die. Brad was immediately at the cockpit door. I still don't know how he squeezed out of those back seats, but there he was, screaming at the top of his lungs. What the hell do you think you guys are doing up here? All right. Apparently that was a really intense illustration of that I was talking about before. So let's finish it off with God's Game Plan. And we should be done by 8:05 because apparently I'm running over time. Okay. All right, so we have Galatians. Galatians. The theme is justification by faith alone. Yeah. That's the making of a writer. Okay. So you have to justify pretty much everything that you're doing through faith, which is why it's really important to maintain focus on what you can control and to not let any type of distractions be seen as anything other than assistance in some way. So Galatians, what is Galatians all about? The big I, or Jesus Christ, grasping grace, and the only seed. So yeah, what I'm getting is that, writing is pretty much the seed of a writer. If you write, you're a writer. Okay. And you just have to understand that when you're writing, things really do come through you. So you don't have to feel any type of way about what you write. Just write. Just write, okay? And give yourself grace. It might feel like a little hypnotic, right? You don't have to personally attach yourself to what you write. But okay, so that's it. 806, and yeah. So we'll go ahead and 86 this. But hopefully that was helpful for anyone. If you're trying to help someone be a writer, or if you yourself are looking to be a writer, hopefully that was helpful. Yeah. So until next reach out, I noticed that I wasn't actually sharing the book. Hold on. Let me go ahead and share the book really quickly. So this is pretty much the foundation. And then from there, I got other books. I did have this little pamphlet, like a video game pamphlet. But should I use this? I should. Hold on, we got a little bonus action here. Starting the game. So just start writing and see it as an arcade. Anything else that happens around you, see it as an arcade. Okay. When you're playing a game and you get distractions, you don't, I mean, you know, it's not the fun part, but the whole point is overcoming the distraction. And then with time, every distraction just feels like a confirmation that you're getting better at playing the game. Okay. So that's what writing is like. Okay. So have a great one. And until next reach out, keep it live. Bye-bye.